Woo! Oh! I hope folks are well. My day's been all right, I think. I don't know. I had annoying things go wrong towards the very end of the day, and my usual not getting as much done as I would like, which it's kind of standard for me regardless of how much I get done. I don't know. I feel like there were some days where I would look back and go, I got a lot done. It's just been a while. Oh well. Hey everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. You like the top? Thank you. Meg gave me this. Actually. Excuse me. Some days I need to point out to me. Yes, as you are very, very well aware, Carolyn. Got to do an interview with Joseph Lidster on the Awful Lot of Running podcast. He said, not bragging. That's awesome. I also don't know who that is, but I'm going to assume it's a big deal, and that's very cool. I've been kvetching about chocolate and stocks, so there was my day. I mean, chocolate's great, but most chocolate is produced by absolute monsters, and stocks are one of the stupidest aspects of the made-up thing that is money. So, yeah. Your hydration is Pinot Grigio. My hydration is Unified Press by Citizen Cider. They make very good water. I checked with the U.S. Postal Service. Jessie Genders received my little gift for her. That's great. I'm really annoyed because I got her something that I had intended to give her for Christmas. And I have not been able to find where in the hell I put it. So hopefully I can find it before her birthday and send it for that. It's really irritating. He wrote Broken for Torchwood. Oh! I've reviewed Broken recently. That one was really good. I like that one. Big Finish Master. He wrote episodes of Sarah Jane Torchwood. Cool. Nice. You doubt it's cider? Why would you doubt it's cider? Why would you doubt that? You're very strange sometimes. If I want to keep watching, I really should not be drinking any liquid at all right now. Well, there's downsides to every contingency. Hashtag squirrel brain. Yeah. Christmas was just like a few days ago, right? It's fine. Yeah, I know. That's what I thought for a while. And then saw your short. I wish there was something I could do. Oh, the one from yesterday. Because I put up another short today, which is getting far less traction just because it's just talking about some MCU related news. So I doubt everything you drink and I take being called strange as a compliment. Well, I do too normally. I just I'm in the most straightforward way. I really don't know what to make of you sometimes. I'm devastated you didn't like Bicentennial Man. Bicentennial Man is one of those videos where I didn't expect to get the pushback that I got. There are a few. In Bruges is probably the biggest one. Where I knew it was a well-liked movie, but I didn't realize that it had psychotic fans. And there's a shocking large amount of comments defending Star Chaser on that video. It's weird. Like, no matter what a thing is, somebody will defend it. In and of itself, that's fine. If you liked it, that's great. But, like, people got mad at me for not liking Bicentennial Man. And people really got mad at me for not liking In Bruges. Oh, did people get pissed at me not liking In Bruges? Yeah, had the Leverage review go up earlier. That was a fun show. I would like to find the time to watch more of that. I don't have the time, but I'd love to find it. I read the Be Gay Do Comics anthology and surprisingly enjoyed it. I have not heard of that, but I like the title. Yeah, I don't care much about the Punisher in the MCU. See, I didn't get into this because I only had 60 seconds for the short, but like, John Bernthal is the third best Punisher we've had. So, you know, I'm not super excited, you know, about the idea. Bicentennial Man wasn't the best movie, but it was Robin Williams, so it will always have a special place with me. Like, I get that, and I get nostalgia for it. I guess what I don't get, I guess I've just reached enough of a point myself that I recognize that my nostalgic love of something does not make it above criticism. And I guess it throws me off when other people aren't there. Where, like, they very clearly have a deep love from the first time they saw it. And I'm like, that's fine. You can still like it. Nostalgic love is love. But, like, I'm not going to share that. I'm sorry. Love Robin Williams and Mork and Mindy. I liked Robin Williams a lot. I'm not sure how many of his movies hold up as movies. Like, he's a great presence. He always was. But, like, I think Good Morning Vietnam holds up pretty well. Good Will Hunting's fine. I always thought that got a little overpraised. Aladdin holds up well. But you know what one I need to rewatch? I need to rewatch World's Greatest Dad. See if that holds up as well as my memory of it is. Yeah, I should revisit that one. I don't get why you call your reviews rambling. If anything, they're very concise. Largely, it's just my way of indicating that they're not scripted. And I usually don't even have notes. We should have known who JKR is when Robin Williams begged to play Hagrid and she refused. Well, she refused. I mean, like, I'm not disagreeing with you, but, like, she refused because she was super insistent on an all UK cast, which I can respect. Like, I'm not incapable of respecting some of the things she's done over her life. I just have no respect for her as a human being at this point in time, you know. What do I think of the amalgam comics between Marvel and DC? Those are weird. I've got an issue. I think I've got issue 1 of Dark Claw, the one that was the mashup of Wolverine and Batman. I never got around to reviewing that back when I did 90s Comics Retrial. I should have. Never got around to it. Jumanji, I have nostalgic love for. I don't think it holds up especially well. I mean, it holds up. It has the issue of being a 90s family movie, which not a great era of quality for family movies, if we are being completely honest. But it's also heavily reliant on special effects that did not age well at all. Patch Adams was apparently disliked by the real Patch Adams, but the movie still kind of sparked my interest in being a hospice nurse. Well, like, he can still do good, but yeah, the real Patch Adams hated that. And, like, to be fair, his main thing was one specific thing, because, so, I actually, kind of find this interesting. So, the aspect of the movie that he really took, that the real Patch Adams really took objection to. So there's the bit in the movie where his friend, she lets this guy into the clinic kind of after hours, and he's a very unsettled individual, and he kills her. The thing is, that really happened. But it wasn't a woman, and it wasn't a potential love interest. It was a guy. It was one of his male friends, and he found it really offensive that they changed it to this made-up woman, you know, potential theoretical love interest who wasn't real. And I don't blame him for that. Yet Lord of the Rings films use actors from many countries. I don't think that's a fair comparison, since while Lord of the Rings is based heavily on, mythology, cribbed from Europe in general, but a lot of UK influences, and of course, Tolkien himself being from there. Like, it's also a made-up place. They can fudge accents, whereas Harry Potter is literally meant to be set in the UK. I don't think that's a valid comparison. The fundamentals of the world are not the same. Well, I say not a valid comparison on that specific issue. I mean, obviously, overall, you want to compare the two. Mrs. Doubtfire was a great movie. It's okay. The thing with Mrs. Doubtfire is it's an okay movie. My issues with it have a lot to do with how it fits into what was a very long-running trope in depictions of men who dress as women, which, keep in mind, I identified as a cis male cross-dresser for a long damn time. But it really bothered me that those things were always constructed to always be comedies because it was inherently thought to be laughable. And B, it was always circumstance that forced them into that. You know, Tootsie, it's the only way he's going to get work is to pretend to be a woman. Some Like It Hot, they have to hide from the mob, so they have to pretend to be women. Mrs. Doubtfire, it's the only way he's going to get close to his kids, so he has to pretend to be a woman. There's just, at this point in time, I have an inherent with anything that fits the mold of, well, the only reason a man would ever dress like a woman is if circumstances forced him to. No guy would ever just do it. And obviously this sounds like an odd thing for me to complain about, given that I no longer identify as a man, but, you know, I still find that unhelpful. And that was super ubiquitous as a thing for decades. And yeah. Mrs. Doubtfire is technically illegal to show in some places in the US now, isn't it? I don't think so, because I think bullshit like the Tennessee law only applies to live performance. I do not believe it is written. It's badly written. Do not get me wrong. It is a horribly broadly written thing. It effectively outlaws pride. And if a cop felt like being a dick, could probably find a reason to just arrest any visibly genderqueer person just for being out in public by claiming, well, what you were doing constitutes performance. So as badly written as that is, I'm pretty sure that it is only live performance. But yeah. Favorite narrator for an audiobook you've listened to? Douglas Adams narrating The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books. Love it. It's amazing. Let's see. What about the Doubtfire musical? I keep forgetting that that's being made. Can we... I get why they do it. It makes big money and it's easier to sell. It's easier to sell tickets to a big stage musical thing for a thing that is a name they already recognize. But, like, can we stop? Can we stop? Like they're doing a movie version of the Mean Girls musical, which is a musical version of a movie that already exists. Like I put up with that for the producers. I didn't want it to become a freaking trend. Supremo Mega, I missed your super chat earlier. On 2000s Marvel, thoughts on the event Civil War by Mark Miller. It started a trend of heroes fighting other heroes in big, massive crossovers. It did not start that trend at all. That is a long and proud tradition at Marvel. May I introduce you to the concept of secret wars? Started the 80s. Now, granted, that wasn't necessarily heroes fighting heroes, but that was big, massive crossover. And heroes fighting heroes for any number of reasons, from misunderstandings to mind control to whatever else. Like, it's got a lot of precedent in Marvel. Civil War was a particularly big swing at trying to do that. I actually haven't read it start to finish yet. However, it actually has been on the review docket back burner for a while. I do need to get to that eventually. I've been putting that one off because it's big. It's a big event, and obviously I can't get an audiobook version of that, so I can't use the shortcut I usually like to use for books. So I love the birdcage, but really dislike the son for pushing his dad to play straight and hide Albert. Oh yeah, so that was the thing about rewatching the birdcage as an adult. The son is a shit. He's a terrible person. He's awful. And the movie doesn't seem to recognize that, which is frustrating. I'm really enjoying Quill and Sword. I love how Wisp and Anu don't take crap off the NPCs. I really enjoy playing Wisp. A lot. Knit and Crochet Tiger. It's that I have loved doing that D&D campaign a lot. Do I like Aladdin? I do. I haven't rewatched Aladdin in ages, but I like it. So Black Cover asked, how is Liz? Liz and I are no longer together. We split in the tail end of last year. I think I mentioned this at a previous stream, but yes, Liz and I are not partners any longer. So that would be the reason why. Hot take: I love Neil Gaiman's stories. I do not like his narration style. I've enjoyed his narration because I'm currently, I've started on for when I'm in the car. I've started on Sandman Act 2, and I like his narration. Personally, I think it works well. Granted, I like it. He's not having to do like characters, but just to hear him describe things, I like his voice for that. And Hairspray, the movie, the musical too. Yeah, that one too. If you think that's a stretch to make into a musical, they just did Great British Bake Off, the musical. Anyway, listening to the audiobook of Her Majesty's Secret Service. I know he's doing the voice, so it would be funny if I argued he's the best James Bond. Interesting. Being a terrible person makes it easier to marry into a Republican family, I guess. That's true. That's another aspect of that we don't really think about. John Vinyls. Thank you very much for the super chat. Even if the films and shows of Phase 4 have been inconsistent at times, that's being generous. The lack of need to build up to a giant Avengers crossover allowed for a lot of creative freedom and ambition. I don't think I agree. there was a lot of hampered ambition. Like, I would say the most creative thing that was allowed to happen was probably She-Hulk, and that really didn't pull together until the back end. But I look at a lot of the rest of what happened, and honestly, a lot of it feels very safe with, like, here's the one slightly out of the box thing we're allowing. Because, like maybe it's not fair to compare Multiverse of Madness to Everything Everywhere All at Once, but, like, I'm going to, if only for the purposes of pointing out, one shows the full breadth of what you can do with the multiverse, and the other did almost nothing with it. I don't, like, it could have led to a lot of creative freedom and ambition. And you can see, if you boil down some of the things that were made down to the basic components, you could see how that seed could have been creative and ambitious. They weren't allowed to be, though. I think Phase 4 is really kind of a wash. Let's see. Loved your video on the Sandman series. Thank you. So has Elodie Young done something that would mean you wouldn't be asked back as Elektra? Not that I know of. I won't lie. I just really didn't like her Elektra. Now, granted, odds are that was more a writing problem than her, but I thought she and Charlie Cox had no chemistry whatsoever. Like, none. So, no, she didn't do anything back. She didn't do anything bad that would prevent her from coming back. But, Elektra, I thought Elektra was the single worst thing in the entire Marvel Netflix thing. And I say that having watched both seasons of Iron Fist. I really hated Elektra. I regret I haven't watched more Quill and Sword. My backlogs are so backed up. I get that. Black Cover, I get that. Hairspray's coming to town, but crowds are still a tricky thing here. Yeah, they can be. Hairspray's a fun show. I could see that on Broadway with George Wendt, that was delightful. I was wondering if you ever watched a Netflix post-apocalyptic comedy called Daybreak. I've been watching it for the past couple hours. It's pretty damn funny. I have not, Jeffrey. So, nope, can't answer you on that one. I left out the word tenant somehow. I did wonder who you were referring to, Ben. But okay, I got you now. Tennant doing the narration for On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And so it would be funny if I said he's the best Bond. I mean, if you want to give a super hipster answer, sure, start going for it. Speaking of Bond, did you hear that the books are being censored? Censored or updated? Because there's a difference. A lot of books lately have been getting updates on language, phrasing, and things like that. That's not the same thing as censorship. Like, my classic example of that is my favorite Agatha Christie book is And Then There Were None, which wasn't always called that. It was originally called 10 Little Indians. Before that, it was called 10 Little Something I Will Not Say on Stream because it would get me banned. So, like, that's not censorship. That's making it so that it is still accessible to a modern audience. I don't consider that to be censorship, especially considering, like, whenever they do that, they archive the old versions. It's not like they burn them. John Vinyls, once again, thank you very much. If the Owl House Season 3 hadn't been crushed into 3 specials, what things in them would have been running plot threads throughout the season, and what would have been one episode plot beats? Well, I think short version is what we've seen so far probably would have comprised the A story of at least, I'd say 8 episodes. and then you'd get B stories out of side stuff going on with Adalia and with V and stuff like that. Like, a lot of that gets crushed down and has to be glossed over. But that's the main thing. I don't feel like the central story is that much different, and it's just like taking time out to give a side character a focus episode is what we're missing. And I am missing that. I like those characters, but Supremo Mega back again. Thank you very much. Do you feel writers never allowed Aunt May to die is another sign of Peter's stagnation because he couldn't have a kid and has marriage erased due to May? I don't know what the hell writer's issue with just letting Aunt May die is. Well, no, I do. It's just another iteration of these stories you're refusing to move forward and to maintain the status quo at all times and at all costs, which is like I've got a video coming out on the MJ thing next week. I think next week. I check my schedule. I can't remember now. I swear I cannot remember anything anymore. No, this week. It's this week. Next week's the other thing. Yeah, so I have to edit that tomorrow, actually. But yeah, I don't think it's because they're like Aunt May is such a beloved character. I think it's just because if we can't reset him back to the status quo of caring for Aunt May, and we can't let him have a kid, and we can't let things move forward. Ugh, it's really annoying. Am I seeing Scream 6? Nah. Last Scream I saw was 3, and I've heard some of the newer ones are good. I don't doubt that they are, but what do I think about your new name, Julia Rowell? I did see that. I like it. I see what you did there. How far am I into Wednesday? I have 2 episodes to go. I'm actually going to hopefully finish that off later tonight. I'm on episode 4 of The Last of Us. Oh, I hope you are enjoying it, pirates. Let's see here. Can we talk about the audacity of the Screenwriters Guild Award letting Mark Wahlberg be the one to present Best Ensemble Prize to a group of predominantly Asian actors? I mean, I don't know what there is to talk about, because I don't think the SAG Awards are as closely guarded as like the Oscars, but as a rule with these things, they set up the presenters. They don't know who's going to win. I mean, they don't, or they're not supposed to, at least. So, the people arranging the show and who's presenting and who's doing what, they don't know who's going to come up and accept it. Should maybe they have taken it into consideration as to the possibility? I don't know, maybe, but like that was not a situation manufactured on purpose. I don't believe that. I got to see Assassins on Broadway with Neil Patrick Harris. Ooh, very nice. Excuse me. How do I feel about AI art, books, videos, referring to the recent from the Corridor Crew? I don't know Corridor Crew. The AI thing overall, I wish we could kind of just skip to whatever the end is going to be. Because right now there's so much crap up in the air, like who owns it? Does the person who gave the AI the prompt own it? Does the programmer who designed the AI own it? Do the creative people whose work was scoured and imitated, should they own it, since the algorithm basically stole their artistic voices and repurpose them. It's a mess. And I kind of want to jump to the end and not have to deal with the messy middle, which is odd because whenever I write, I pretty much always deal with the messy middle. But like, while that's a rich venue for storytelling, it's a pain in the ass to live in. I would love for Miles Morales to have a TV show of his own. It'd be fine. Was this a fever dream, or was Sony really going to do an Aunt May Spider-Man prequel? Oh, they were really going to do it. They were really going to do it. She was going to be like a spy or something. Yeah, no, that was real. It didn't get very far. But what confuses me is the de-aging of Aunt May. It depends on the circumstances. Like, I kind of get it for like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I think just bringing a somewhat younger energy to the whole thing made sense. I think it suited him better. But like, I don't need it as an overall thing. 'Cause like, gray-haired old woman is kind of that is Aunt May, iconically. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, wait. Who are we wishing safe travels to? Oh, the Pirates. Need to get up at 3:30 in the morning for a trip to NYC, so I'm out of here. Well, rest well and take care. I'm nearly done with Harley Quinn. Really enjoyed episode 8 of the latest season. I still haven't seen the Valentine's special. I completely forgot that was a thing. Catching up on Marvel stuff recently. Really like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, What If, and Eternals. I just don't know if there's enough time to bring everything together. Well, sorry, hold on. Excuse me. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I like. There's aspects of it I really like. There's other stuff that's not handled very well, unfortunately. What If, I honestly really didn't care for it at all by the time it was done. Eternals I liked a lot better than I thought I would. I don't know if I ever need to watch it again, but it was pretty good. Dharma! Member for 15 months. Look at you go. 15 months and 0 regrets. Thank you. Does the AI own it? Photons are free. I mean, that'll be a question eventually. Like, if we ever get to a point, I mean, well, if we ever create the singularity, that'll be one thing. But like, if we ever get to a point where the AI doesn't require a prompt, like of its own accord, starts creating stuff. And I don't mean like you wind it up and it just goes forever. That's still giving it a prompt. But like, if an AI ever started doing that sort of stuff on its own, there would be an argument to be made about AI ownership, potentially. I seem to recall it was recently ruled that AI works can't be copyrighted. That'll get challenged. I don't doubt. But I haven't been keeping super on top of the legal end of it because it's just so messy, and copyright law is one of the most mind-numbing things to try and wrap your head around. Not impenetrable. Actually, it's usually fairly understandable, but wow, is it boring. Wasn't Sony planning a Madam Web film? I think that one is technically still in development. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you. It's the 8th of March here. You're awesome. Thanks so much, Sammy. I appreciate that. Best thing about Everything Everywhere All at Once getting Best Ensemble is that they let James Hong do the majority of the talking, continuing to prove how awesome that nonagenarian is. Yeah, he is pretty great. Is gender fluid still an applicable label with you? I'm a little unclear on that. Yeah, I'm still gender fluid. That hasn't changed. Oh, hey, Meg. Nice to see you pop in. Yeah, no, I'm still gender fluid. I know I generally present feminine, but it's because it's how I feel most presentable, if that makes sense. But yeah, gender fluid has not stopped being accurate. How much? Oh, thank you, John Vinyls. How much of Wednesday was basically Tim Burton going, dang, I wish I'd made the Owl House. I don't think he wishes he made the Owl House. It's too diverse for him. Tim Burton, I enjoy some of his movies. I do. I don't think he cares about narrative, like, at all. I think his contributions are always the aesthetic. And, like, you match him to the right material, that can work really well. I think the only time he's honestly cared about the narrative was Big Fish. Every other time it's like, ooh, this is something I can do something fun with aesthetically. I think that's the full extent of what he thinks about anything he's ever done. And that's not an invalid way to approach art. You can do that. I think you're attributing more intent to him than I would. Let's see. Have I ever been to Chicago for St. Patrick's Day? I have never been to Chicago at all. I do know about them dyeing the river green. The reason I know about them dyeing the river green is because of a scene and a line from The Fugitive, where at one point they're in Chicago and it's St. Patrick's Day and you see the Green River and the U.S. Marshals they're just, heading into a building and they're just chatting. Like, I really love The Fugitive. That's a really great movie that is not as remembered as it should be. But anyways, one of them goes, Sammy, let me ask you a question. If they can dye this river green today, why don't they dye it blue the other 364 days out of the year? I interrupted Shakespeare when I saw this stream. Oh, what's my favorite Shakespeare play? It's probably Midsummer Night's Dream. I like a fair amount of Shakespeare overall. But that, I lean towards that one because that's the one I want to be in. I really want to play Puck. I really, really do. I just came across something a bit scary. They're recreating thought images with stable diffusion, interpreting MRI activity. Huh. That's odd. Did you know that Calvin's dad was an IP lawyer? Yes, I did know that. I did indeed know that. It's even referenced at one point in the comic. I'm wrong about Jumanji. Okay. You are entitled to your opinion. Will the Wednesday review be up soon? If I do actually finish watching it tonight, maybe it'll be up next week. It's still a Batman 89 and Returns. Returns is really kind of a mess. Fantastic Burton point on diversity or flat lack thereof. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Why would you dye a river? The hell, because they can. Suggs with a box. Thank you very much for the super chat. That was very generous. I appreciate that immensely. Biggest animated crush at the age of 10, 20, 30, 40. Give me a second. Ariel, Jessica Rabbit, 30. What would it have been at 30? Motoko Kusanagi and Scorpia. There we go. Who's my favorite character in Chicago? Favorite character in Chicago. I really like Mama Morton. She's a lot of fun. I enjoy the heck out of her. And if you get the right person to give it just the right amount of swagger, the lawyer whose name is suddenly escaping me, Billy Flynn, I think so. But he can be really good, but he's tricky. And if you balance him wrong, he's just a douche. But he can be good. Mama, I think, is reliably usually my favorite. Have I seen Bluey? Yes! Not all of it, but I have. Bluey is great. I love Bluey. Really, it was Midsummer I was watching. Oh, that's cool. Supreme Omega, back again. Thank you so very much. On Stan Lee, I thought he was all about the illusion of change, yet he's the one who pushed for the Spidey marriage in the comic strip and later in the comics. The thing with Stan Lee is it's hard to know. So after he stopped doing a lot of the actual writing, so once we're into the 70s, it's hard to know what his core philosophy and how much influence he had, or how much of it is people doing what they thought he wanted. Because you get stories of like people around the office of Marvel's like, oh, well, we have to do this because it's what Stan wants. And it's something like he said idly in a meeting once and then forgot about it, and he doesn't actually care, but they run with it anyway. So it's hard to know how staunch the things that it was said that he believed in, how strongly he felt a lot of them sometimes. It's difficult to parse. But it's worth remembering that a big thing for Marvel initially, from the 60s, I would say into the start of the 70s, was that their characters were aging in real time. Peter was in high school. He was in college. He graduated. You know, the Fantastic Four, the two of them got married. You know, characters were actually getting older. But then when they hit the 70s, they started instituting the rolling timeline. So it's not like he never wanted any change, but it's just once enough things were established as like, this is what people expect, then it became difficult to ever move it forward from there. And that's not strictly down to Stan Lee. That's a massive problem with DC as well. Have I ever read the book version of The Princess Bride? I have. It's quite good. It's an odd read, but it's quite good. As much as he's great in The Fugitive, I'm still very bitter at Tommy Lee Jones won the Oscar over Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List. I mean, fair enough. Excuse me. Who is my biggest girl crush now in 2023? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't keep track of crushes anymore too much. Would I play Mama Morton if I could? I mean, I love the character. I'm not sure I feel a particularly affinity to play it. Like, I could see myself doing the song like for a cabaret performance or something, but I don't know. Best entry point into DC animation. Start with Batman the Animated Series. Yes, and then stop once the movies hit their New 52 inspired continuity. Save yourself a lot of pain. Council of Geeks is my biggest girl crush in 2023. Oh my goodness, Maureen. Thank you. 255 AD. And also again with a correction. This wasn't intentional, but surface detail, state of the art, and use of weapons have common characters. Oh, I did really like some of the characters in Surface Detail. Demyson especially. He was great. I really loved him. I am dropping stuff left and right. Sorry, I lost my coaster. Have I seen the complaint about the race swaps in the new Disney Peter Pan? I saw that they existed. I have not looked into what people are actually complaining about because it's the same. It's the same rage merchants giving the same bullshit. They're not worth my time and energy. When your daughter gets a little older and should she say she wants to read something deep/intense, put her on the Animorphs track, considering content due to check, but it's good. I know what my kid reads, and I know what my kid watches, and she could handle Animorphs. I'm pretty confident. I think I'd have a hard time selling it to her. Like she's just a tough sell on a lot of things. She's reluctant to try things for the first time rather often. But if you can get your hooks into her, she can really get into things. And she might get into that if I could ever talk her into it. It'd be tricky though. Am I going to watch Secret Invasion? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm still sticking with the MCU, so. Have I been invisible this whole time? No, Carolyn, never. Let's see. The Discord. Yes, I will get to the Discord in a second. I've got one more super chat to hit, and then I will do the Discord. So John Vinyl's coming in once again. Thank you very much for that. Burton is very much a vibes director who mostly helps realize other people's screenplays, while David Lynch and Guillermo del Toro and Dana Terrence are very careful and meticulous about the kinds of stories they want to tell. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Yeah, I'd call that pretty accurate. Okay, the Discord. Reminder. The Council of Geeks Discord is a perk of the Council of Geeks Patreon, patreon.com/Council of Geeks. Join now, and at the $2 support tier, you will get access to the Discord. You can chat with me and other people, including some of the people in the chat with you right now, just for $2 a month. Patreon.com/Council of Geeks. All right, let's see. What is my go-to home-cooked dinner? If I'm the one cooking, honestly, I'm liable just to throw together pasta more often than not for dinner. I actually tend to get slightly more creative with lunch because I have energy. By dinner, I'm just like, I just want something easy. Having seen your Leverage take, what shows have you never watched that you have a nagging feeling you should? Oh, geez, that is a list that goes on forever. There's a lot of stuff that I either suspect I would like or have seen like 1 or 2 episodes of and been like, I should watch more of that. And like, it's a lot. It's a lot. I can't even, like, my brain is just kind of shutting down at the idea of trying to think of all this stuff, you know, whether it's Merlin or, you know, Leverage, heck, Cheers for that matter. It's all over the place. BoJack Horseman still. There's a lot. What one Oscar win would you most like to see this coming weekend? I barely remember the nominees. I would like to see Everything Everywhere All at Once win a bunch of stuff, and I'll leave it at that. Let's see. Hi, I wouldn't be able to make the live, but we'll catch up tomorrow. Oh, okay. How do you feel about the current trend in TV shows being shorter in terms of the length of the overall series, with more serialized than episodic. I miss episodic television. It's one of the things that was really fun about watching the episodes of Leverage, because those are fully contained stories. I appreciate good serialized storytelling. When it's good, it's great. But you know what's something that can't ever happen to an episodic show? Having a bad ending ruining the whole thing. Serialized is a high-risk, high-reward situation. If you do it well, then you have a well-laid-out, long-running narrative that pays off at the end. And if you blow it, if you pull a Game of Thrones, you get to the end and you realize this nonsense is what it was all building up to. I can't even go back and watch the old episodes again because they were directly building into this. Whereas an episodic show, you know, the ending can be garbage, but individual episodes, because they're standalone, will still work. I tend to prefer more episodic TV overall. Like, again, I appreciate serialized TV, but it's become a little bit more of a thing than I would like. What's my favorite standalone episode of any TV show? San Junipero. What upcoming film or show am I looking forward to the most? Probably season 2 of Loki right now. Yeah, there isn't a ton I'm super stoked for this year, at least not that I'm remembering off the top of my head. You get to reshoot the Haunted Mansion trailer. What do you do? Well, first thing, we drop the tag-on joke at the end. And we just spook it up more. We just go more creepy. Cut the jokes after the front end. Jokes in the beginning. Scary the back end. But not like jump scares, not like dread and horror, but like, yep, unsettling. That's where I would put it. Have I ever been to Salem, Massachusetts? I have been. It's lovely. And I'm hoping to go again in the not so distant future. Hopefully with good company. If I'm very lucky. Let's see. Do you think The Rock dug Black Adam's grave by refusing to keep Black Adam's ties to the Shazam mythos? It feels like he wanted Black Adam to be an Iron Man scenario, a lesser-known character becoming a face of a franchise, but failed to take into account that, unlike Iron Man, Black Adam, is first and foremost a spin-off character with heavy ties to the character he spun off from. Because I still haven't seen the Black Adam movie, I don't feel confident in taking a swing at that. Because I don't know how well or badly it did or didn't work. Continuing the DC film questioning, do you think it would benefit the DCU films to just have Barry Allen die and replace him with Wally West instead of recasting? Well, yeah. Yeah, that would be a much cleaner way to resolve that. With Harry Potter being such a hot-button series, Wizards being on the outs, do you think we should have a series focusing on the arch enemy of Wizards, that being barbarians? A Harry Potter-style barbarian series. Welcome to Barbarian School. Today, we will be throwing logs as far as possible. And then, you shall learn how to drink mead. They're 12. They will learn how to drink mead. I feel like a barbarian's version of Harry Potter is just like all the teachers are Hagrid. I did see that there's another question that just came in. I won't be addressing it on stream. I may answer it in text back in the Discord because the rule is questions have to be in before the stream starts. So I am now back in the mainstream. I'm out of the Discord. I'm back in the stream. Huzzah! Do you think mainline Disney and Pixar animated films should focus more on sequels or original projects? I would much prefer original projects. But like some of the sequels have been good, I won't deny. I need olives on my pizza. I hope we can all remain friends. I'll find a way to overlook it. I wish we could hang out. It would be so much fun. Oh, thank you, Julia. I appreciate that. What's my favorite way to cook pasta? Al dente. I mean, there's really kind of only 3 ways to cook it: undercooked, al dente, and overcooked. I just hope that Loki season 2 finally gets that. Loki should be able to really be physically gender fluid. Loki always has been. Way back in the Norse mythology, Loki spends time as both sexes. I just want them to firmly commit to Sylvie being trans. Like that Sylvie used, Loki's powers and abilities to become a woman, to be a woman. I mean, she treats Loki like a dead name. I would like them to just canonically commit to that. 255 AD, I will look at it in the Discord and I will respond to it in the Discord. I am going to hold to granted they are arbitrary rules, but they're my arbitrary rules, and I'm going to stick to them. Was there ever a possibility of you getting sucked into an MMO or children's card game? I mean, I was sucked into Magic the Gathering back when I was in middle school, but I very consciously didn't take up World of Warcraft because I was pretty sure it would devour my life. Like, I lost a lot of hours to Diablo 2. World of Warcraft would have annihilated my life. There we go. Hey, do you agree that people mocking Southern and or rural American accents is harmful because it leads to prejudice? And then there are people who have those accents who are trying to make positive societal changes. They are dismissed or mocked. I don't think making fun of somebody's accent in general is usually a super great thing to do. I'm not going to say you can never do it, but it's one of those things that my gut instinct is, because sort of going after anybody for anything that they can't change about themselves, be it their age, their body type, a disability, their sexual orientation, their accent. To me, you shouldn't be making fun of them for that regardless. I don't know if I agree with the people trying to make societal change being dismissed, because I mean, one of the things, and granted, this is the perspective of a northern New Englander whose family came over on the goddamn stupid ass Mayflower, and my family stayed up here the whole damn time. Keeping in mind that this is my perspective, I feel like one of the things that can be said is that the Southern mentality is a lot more local. And that's actually generally true in more rural areas in general. And there's a lot of rural areas in the South. So the thing is, I don't feel like having a Southern accent has prevented people from getting a shot at a national stage when they've gone for it. And when they're working locally, other people have the same accent. So it's not as much of an issue. I don't know. It's hard for me to say, but I do think in general that mocking an accent is a kind of a for me. Best depiction, most interesting use of amnesia in media. Memento. I mean, there isn't too much else interesting that's done. Maybe you could do it on stream anyway. My mother's going to the hospital tomorrow. I've given you a lot of money. So, 255 AD. I will take a look at the question. I don't super appreciate feeling like you're trying to twist my arm on it. Like, just for future reference. Just because, like, yes, you have, but, like, that's been 4 things. That's for the perks you get through the Patreon. That's for the addressing of questions here. So it's not, I'm going to try and say this as politely as I can. Having supported me in the past, even going above and beyond what other people normally do, doesn't grant you access to me beyond what I am willing to give. I will take a look at the question, but please don't try and guilt or arm twist me on that issue in the future. Do you think it is inappropriate for someone to have an intimate relationship with a girl they grew up with, even if she's not technically your sister? I revisited the book Use of Weapons after my commission. I was like, does Banks not realize that's inappropriate? Okay, so you're talking a little bit about, it's a bit of a trope, the sort of raised together but not actually related turns to romance thing, which it's a weird gray area. So the short version is, yeah, I think it's kind of inappropriate. The level of inappropriateness, I think, varies depending on the nature of how they grew up together. Because, you know, there's just happening to grow up in the same house together. And then there's literally behaving and being raised as if you were siblings. So there are gradations of that. But yeah, the general notion of, like, this is something that I don't know if it actually comes up in anime and manga a lot, but the cliche is that it does. That there's always this, you know, here's our young, handsome male protagonist and his adopted sister. And, like, they put so much emphasis on the adopted, and you're like, you're going to hook these two up, aren't you? And yeah, there's something kind of skeevy about it. It feels like wanting to indulge in a fantasized taboo relationship without fully going there. And let me be clear, in terms of, like, individuals in a private, intimate scenario doing role play, I'm not going to kink shame. As long as everyone is consenting and knows full well everything that's going on, you role play whatever scenarios you want to role play between two consenting adults. But, you know, when it shows up unexamined and, you know, outside of things that seem to understand that it's a little gross, that's the thing. It's not just that it happens, it's that when it happens, it's unexamined. This is something that's actually been coming up with me repeatedly lately, and it came up with the last record that I did with Jesse talking about Babylon 5. Sometimes the issue isn't that a thing happens, it's that a thing happens and the narrative and or the writer isn't examining it and doesn't seem to realize that that's actually messed up. Because it's okay to have messed up stuff, but it's when there's no commentary on the messed up stuff and you're left going, wait, did you think that was actually okay to do? Because it seems like you thought that was okay to do. So, okay, I'm back in the chat now, and I am gonna hardline on that. I'm not going back to the Discord tonight, and we are gonna wrap it up in a little bit. Will there be another watch stream for the Oscars? No. I've got my kiddo this weekend. I'm not gonna try and juggle all that. Listen to the Riversong audios featuring Eric Roberts. It takes a while for him to get back into the swing of it, but he's a lot more cunning here than he was in 1996. That's not hard. They didn't know what they were doing with him in 1996. I swear he was given different direction for every scene he was in. See you, Adrian. I live in North Florida. I don't have a Southern accent. I mean, the people I know who live in the South don't have Southern accents either, but to be fair, they also weren't raised there. Most of them. The ones who were raised in Florida and had money. So, you know, that's a whole other thing. Best Eddie Murphy movie. Whew. I mean, I'm partial to Trading Places. I say that being fully aware that some parts of that have aged horrifically bad. But I'm kind of drawing a blank otherwise. as far as like ones of his that I especially liked. I 255 AD. Sorry, I crossed the line. I accept your apology. I accept your apology. Be aware for future, though. Okay? Cool. Yeah. You're in Florida? I'm so sorry. Yeah. I've got some family that live in Florida. Some of them I feel bad for. Some of them I don't. So there you go. Also, the River Story. Also in the River Story featuring Missy. I love that it's clearly early days for her and she's not speaking in a Scottish accent yet. Oh, nifty. But okay, I'm going to wrap it up, I think. Thank you everybody for joining me. And for just spending a little time. I hope that you all have a great rest of the week. Tomorrow I will be on Twitch in the morning, playing, I believe, hold on. Let me get the order of the words correct here. Super Lesbian Animal RPG. That's what I'm playing tomorrow on Twitch. Don't ask, because I don't really know. We're gonna find out together. Saturday, and I'll be, I will be streaming that again on Friday. Oh, see you, Meg. Thank you for stopping in. And then, so Saturday's video here on the channel is actually about Spider-Man and Mary Jane and sort of in general issues with comics and being unable to just ever deal with certain scenarios or certain changes and always resetting. So just my thoughts on that in general. And yeah, I think that's about it coming up. I mean, there should be links in the description of this for, you know, other stuff, TikTok and Twitter and whatnot. Yeah, most of the stuff I do is linked there. Some of the stuff I do is not linked there, but if you know, you probably know already. But in any case, thank you very much for joining me, folks. What I really want you to remember, though, and I mean it, you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I am just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!